Nice mess. Hunger. You don't say.
This would easily be the rematch of the century if this ends up happening. But regardless, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, as well as all you Uncanny X-Men fans out there, to another very exciting Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine related video. So this is pretty much going to be another laid-back discussion, simply going over what we currently know about both of Insomniac's upcoming Marvel projects, with that of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine. And for the case of Wolverine, that game is very early in terms of its development cycle, but we do currently know that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is still set to fully release in 2023. And while there's already a lot of information that has already been revealed about both of these projects on the PlayStation blog website, there is one particular aspect about both of these games which still hasn't been officially confirmed at all by anyone at Insomniac, Marvel, or PlayStation, as to whether or not both Marvel's Spider-Man and that universe and the Marvel's Wolverine game and that game in particular with its possible universe are connected in the same exact world. Now, to reiterate that one particular statement from the PlayStation blog post, just to put things into a better perspective, and that way we're all on the same page, is that at the very end of that article, it does state that being able to build a new original universe with Spider-Man and now Wolverine is such an honor for so many of us at Insomniac Games, and then of course they go on to thank all the fans and Sony and Marvel for all their amazing support. Now, this statement as a whole can be taken either one of two ways. The first of which is obviously stating that within the new original universe that Insomniac have crafted with their Marvel's Spider-Man games, and now Wolverine, might mean that they are now including Wolverine within the Marvel's Spider-Man universe. Or on the flip side, it could mean that Insomniac fully crafted their own brand new and original universe for Spider-Man, and now they're going to do the exact same thing with Wolverine by putting him in his own standalone new and original universe. Now, if you did watch my previous Marvel's Spider-Man 2 101 video where I did break down everything that this PlayStation blog post has to offer, I'm personally siding with the latter option in thinking that both Spider-Man and Wolverine do take place in two separate universes, at least as it currently stands right now. That way, I do think both of the separate creative directors of Brian Intihar and Brian Horton will fully be able to completely dive into each of their respective characters and their stories without having the feeling of being restrained and having to forcefully tie in each of these characters together into one singular world. As a comparison, we've already seen what Square Enix is doing with their own Marvel properties of Marvel's Avengers and Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, where even though both of those titles are being published by the same company of Square Enix, it's already fully confirmed by the developers themselves at Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal that both of those games do take place in two completely separate universes. And while I completely understand that it might be a bit more complicated to tie in a much more grounded group of heroes like that of the Avengers compared to the intergalactic saviors with that of Guardians of the Galaxy, I still do find it personally odd that they weren't able to fully connect both of those teams and their stories within the same universe, given that they both come from the same publisher. However, we still don't have any official confirmation of any kind as to whether or not it is fully confirmed 110% from Insomniac themselves if Spider-Man and Wolverine do take place in the same world. Which, in all honesty, I do find a bit strange, considering that the way on how that sentence is phrased, the grammar might imply either of these scenarios is possible, where Spider-Man and Wolverine could be in separate universes, or in fact, do take place in the same exact world. Now, funny enough, the other bit of evidence that we do have relating to each of these games and indicates that they may indeed be located in the same world is the specific number that we can find in both of the trailers, with that of 1048. Which, if you don't know, just like Marvel's 1610 being the Ultimate Universe, or Marvel's 616 being the standard canon Marvel Universe, Marvel 1048 is actually the official number of the Insomniac Spider-Man universe. And in fact, we do see it at the very same bar that Logan is drinking at in the Marvel's Wolverine trailer. Now, on one hand, you could say, Evan, you're simply reaching for any type of evidence that you could possibly find to connect both of these projects together, but at the same time, you know how much Marvel loves to include Easter eggs within their trailers, especially for their video games, so if these numbers are indicating that the 1048 create universe of Marvel is in fact both locating Spider-Man and Wolverine within that same world, especially since both of these games are completely developed and published by Insomniac Games and Sony Interactive Entertainment, then I definitely think that there is a highly likely chance after seeing this that both of these games are in fact connected. But as the question for this video poses is, should these universes be connected? Do we actually need to have Spider-Man and Wolverine come together to be located in the same world in order to finally have the possibility of creating a Marvel gaming universe? We already know that even though Spider-Man exists within the Marvel's Avengers game, that's already confirmed to be a completely separate iteration of the character compared to what we already saw from Insomniac's version. So if Insomniac have now created an even longer partnership with Marvel Games, expanding their development within the realm of Spider-Man and moving on to Wolverine, who's to say that their next project after they release both Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine may end up being something like Daredevil, or Doctor Strange, or Black Panther, or Ghost Rider, or Moon Knight, or any of the other amazing Marvel characters that exist within the comics, and give them their own standalone games, sadly being a PlayStation 5 exclusive, which I know might upset a lot of people, but having them all be formed within the same exact world, I think would be absolutely insane. Because like you saw in that intro, if Spider-Man and Wolverine are in fact connected, we could finally get the rematch we've all been waiting for of Venom going up against Wolverine in a bar and just having him beat his absolute ass. Or if we go a step further, who's to stop Insomniac, if these games are connected, to include a Wolverine post-credit scene at the very end of Marvel's Spider-Man 2. That way, not only would there be a complete ending for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 that would also potentially set up the future of that franchise with Marvel's Spider-Man 3, but would also get a lot more people even more amped for Marvel's Wolverine if they are in fact connected in the same universe. Because seeing a Spider-Man and Wolverine team up featured within this game's universe would just be a dream come true for me. Even if it turns out that Spider-Man 2 is rated T for teen just like the previous Spider-Man games, and Wolverine ends up being rated M for mature just like what we saw with the other standalone Wolverine game with X-Men Origins, I still think that wouldn't necessarily affect the overall tone that is set within this Marvel universe, and instead would only further enhance the stories for each of the respective characters by giving them their own standalone franchises, while also having the benefit of being in that same world. But no matter what ends up happening, whether they are connected or not, I still think Insomniac is going to totally nail the overall vibe of what we're currently seeing with Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and hopefully go the extra mile with a character as brutal as Wolverine. But with all that said, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine potentially being within the same universe, and would you be upset if they were in fact separate standalone worlds? I've been clamoring for a Marvel gaming universe ever since 2016 with the initial reveal of Spider-Man PS4, so believe me when I tell you that there's no one more amped for a possible crossover with these two heroes more than me. But at the same time, if they are in fact located in separate realities, then hopefully they will be able to give them their best unique stories that can fully do justice to each of the characters. Let me know what you all think, and until next time, true believers, thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine videos like this. And without further ado, peace out.